Hi, my name is Tommy Schweitzer, and I represent Altoona Area High School Drama Department, and I'm really, really honored to be here. Oh, yeah, here's my name, my pen, and my resume. Thank you. Oh yeah, I know, I don't look like my last name. My grandfather, my father's father, he was actually found on a doorstep, and then he was adopted. And my mother's family, they're from a northern little village in the top of Italy. And oh my God, I'm so sorry. Okay, I'll just begin. Thank you. Sorry. Thanks. I would stand on my tippy toes trying to watch my mom as she made meatballs in a skillet. The crackle of grease and the smell of garlic filled the air. Excuse me? Something unique about my mom? She's big. Like, overweight. What does my dad think of me? I don't think he likes me. I think he thinks I'm talented, but I think he thinks I'm a fad. Oh, honestly, I don't actually know what I am yet. I'm sorry, I don't mean to be rude or impolite, but what do all these personal questions have to do with me becoming an actor? Every time a person is in front of you, you have a choice. You have a choice to see a person as fully human, as broken as we are, and deserving of dignity. Or you can see that person as small and insignificant and not worth your own vulnerability. When I was a child, I had to make myself small to stay safe. Now, when I tell you I was small, that's how I was in the inside. Outside, I was as big as a big Italian meatball. I was born in Altoona, Pennsylvania, in 1972. My neighborhood was crowded. Altoona was a small blue-collar railroad town, dismal, gray, with an overall look of Halloween. I lived at 121 2nd Avenue and 1st Street. Our neighborhood was crowded with small little walkways in between. Across the street was Helen's Penny Candy Store. Beside that was the 2nd Avenue United Methodist Church. My house was right across the street. It was dilapidated, and we had, worn down red shaggy carpet, wallpaper that featured brown, yellow, and avocado green mushrooms. Some of you had that wallpaper. All of this was accented by thin brown curtains, which had the pungent stench of Pall Mall cigarettes. My parents smoked close to 3 packs of Pall Mall a day. It was the 1970s. Any good parents smoked that much. My mom was Kathy. My father was Tom. It wasn't until I was 30 years old when I found out Kathy and Tom, they never got married. Nope. They randomly met each other in October of 1971 at the sunken ship. Well, my dad sunk his ship with my mom that night. Because in June of 1972, I was born, their little boy, their only meatball. Mommy, why does garlic smell like that? How if I know, honey? It just does. Italian perfume, sweetie. That's what we call it. Come here, baby. Come here. Now, when you make your meatball, you want to take your fork and you want to keep rolling your meatball around. Ow, Marone! You never want your meatball to get too brown on one side, honey. My love for food began right beside my mom at her stove. That's when she felt well enough to cook. And when she cooked, boy, could she cook. I made meatballs, fried sugar dough, eggs, peppers, chicken wings, Italian sausage, and homemade pasta. that I made with my own hands. And it was my duty and my pleasure to make homemade meatballs for my little Tommy, to help him on his quest for childhood obesity. Mommy, last night I went up to say goodnight to Daddy and he said, "Get the F away." Oh, honey, Jesus. Listen, when your daddy talks to you like that, baby, you have to just ignore him. Oh my God, you know what would make you feel better, honey? A meatball. My mother's father, my grandfather, came fresh off the boat from the old country, from Italy, carrying with him the last name Del Grosso, which translated into English is of the large. Really helpful. Of the large would have described my mom's. Some women are size A, B, C, double D cup. Not me. I'm a size K. The same size as my Hoover vacuum cleaner sweeper bag. My mom was 5'3". 5'3". 300 pounds with out of control diabetes. Sometimes she was so sick, she couldn't function. She had curly black hair that she never brushed, and a smoker's low growly voice. And she had a laugh. She had a laugh that made it sound like she surprised herself. I only laughed when I didn't know what else to do. I became diabetic when I had my little Tommy. He's what I call my sugar baby. Just like the Three Musketeers. The doctors told me before I had Tommy, "Kathy, you have to lose 100 pounds. And you have to stop smoking." The way I thought about it was, what was there to live for anyway, you know? So after a few miscarriages, I had my little Tommy, my little miracle boy. My dad was very muscular. Pale skin, crystal blue eyes. He had depression, obsessive compulsive disorder, schizophrenia, paranoid schizophrenia, and he was an alcoholic. Yeah, I like to drink. Big fucking deal. It's fucking angry at the whole fucking world. Didn't finish school. Went to second grade. Nothing those sons of bitches could teach me. Tell you what, you can be a man in this world without having to be fucking Mark Twain. I was a janitor. That's when they got cleanest bathrooms those sons of bitches ever saw. You try to clean up someone else's shit. See how you like it. Mommy, why don't we ever see Daddy's family? Oh, honey, because your daddy's family's goddamn crazy. Now do Mommy a favor. Go get her cigarettes. She's not feeling too good. Up till about 3 years old, until I was, as soon as I got out of the crib, up till about 3 years old, until I was too big, I slept on my mother's back. Her back was as big and as cushy as a queen-size mattress. So I'd lie on my stomach, and I'd bend my legs up like this, and my feet would dangle above her head, and then I would use her butt cheeks as my pillow. She'd bend her legs legs up, and then she would talk with me, have conversations with me with her feet. She made the funniest voices. Is the Easter Bunny going to bring me an Easter basket tomorrow? He might. He also is going to hide your Easter eggs. Will he bring me a chocolate bunny? He's going to bring you a chocolate bunny, but you have to be good and go to sleep. All right. Good night. I love you. I love you. Sometimes my mom would make her feet sing. Good night, my darling. When I graduated off my mom's back, I started to sleep in the living room. I would sleep on one couch and my mom would sleep directly across from each other. This was our bedroom. My father had the only real bedroom in the house. My dad worked second trick at a local junior high school. So at 10:45 at night, my mom would leave the kitchen, go down the hallway to make my dad dinner, and she'd leave the TV on for me and turn up the volume. At 11 o'clock, MASH came on TV. I hated that show. It had this theme song that was so sorrowful, and every time I heard it come on, it was like my own musical cue for my own war inside. My mom had a dog at that time, a pet poodle. She named Misty. A cute little poodle that followed my mom around everywhere. It loved my mom. This dog could protect her more than I could at the time. What the fuck is your dog looking at? Why is it always in the kitchen? Huh? Stop fucking staring at me, dog. Always by your side. Fucking glued to you. Said fucking stop staring at me. Huh? Can it get out of here? Huh? What the fuck's wrong? You scared of some shit? Stop staring at me! Misty would run down the hallway and she would jump on my couch. It was the only time that she wanted to be near me. I think she knew we were the same. Before Misty, we had another dog. A dog that I named She. I went into the kitchen, and my mommy and daddy were screaming at each other, and my dad took a glass and he threw it up against the wall, and there was glass everywhere. And I yelled, "Stop it! Stop it!" And then he asked my mom why the dog was in the kitchen. And she said because it was thirsty. And then my dad took the dog and he took it to his water bowl. And he shoved his head in the water bowl and the dog kept trying to get up. My dad kept pushing. The dog was making the scariest sounds. Paranoid schizophrenia is a mental illness. It makes a person feel someone, something, or God, that they're after them. Sometimes when they hurt you, sometimes they're sorry. Tommy. Hey. Hey. Tommy, you can't cry, okay? Crying's for babies. I didn't mean to do that. I came home, I was fucking tired, and your mom pisses me off. So, you know what we can do? Huh? You know what we can do? We can get ourselves a new dog. Hey. Come here. Hey, come here. Come here, let me hug you. those weeknights, I'd go to my couch and I'd cover up, and my mom would come back in and she'd kiss me and she'd turn off the TV. And then I would pull back the curtain of the window and I would look across the street at the church and I would pray. Nobody ever taught me how to pray. I somehow knew how. You know what's funny is when I was a kid and I used to pray to the church, I used to look across and see the steeple, and I used to think the steeple was a tower, a radio tower. And I thought there was no way that God wouldn't hear my prayer. Dear God, thank you for everything. Dear God, why is my dad so mean? How can my mom not be so sick and my dog find a new home? And please, I'd like to visit your church sometime, if you don't mind. Amen. On the weekends, our sleeping arrangements were a little different. Every Friday night, my father would go out and drink at the bars, and he would come home and wreck the house. So on Friday afternoons, my mom and I would pack a bag, and we'd go stay at a cheap, questionable motel. The motel was flamingo pink. And beside it was a little trailer, which was even pinker. There was a woman who ran it. She wore too much jewelry, and she had caked on makeup. And she did not sound like she was from Altoona, Pennsylvania. The oddest thing about this woman who ran the pink motel was she had a pet parrot with a really foul mouth. She called the parrot Lou. Bastard! Bastard! Lou, watch your fucking mouth! I swear I'm gonna tape that bird's mouth shut. Oh, hi, Kathy. Welcome back, honey. Come on in. Oh, it's good to see you, sweetie. How's that old man of yours? He's a goddamn asshole, that's how. Drinking like a fish, probably gonna lose his job. Oh, honey, you need to get yourself in this little cute chunky monkey. You need to get yourself out of that house. I was in the same situation as you are with that caveman ex-boyfriend of mine, Francis. Who the hell names a man Francis anyway? One day I just had it and I said, fuck it. And I just grabbed Lou here and we just left that son of a bitch, didn't we, Lou? Son of a bitch! Well, let's see, you are staying in room 108. And I don't know if I shared this with you or not, but we are moving on up like the Jeffersons. We have the movie channel box in every room. Tonight they're playing that Stephen King movie. You know, the one about the car that kills people. I just love his movies, especially when somebody gets murdered. It gets sort of a certain kind of frustration out, if you know what I mean. Well, anyways, you and your boy, you have a good sleep. And Kathy, take my advice, honey. Leave his ass. Leave his ass. Lou agrees. So yeah, when I was at home, I was lucky to have a friend that would listen to me, that I could hang out with. His name was Eric Valentino. his mother, Janie Valentino, she was my mom's best friend, her only friend. Janie was divorced, but she looked like those moms you saw on TV, really pretty and put together. And when I would go to her house, everything was clean as a pin. She even had real green plants. She'd invite me to dinner, and then before dinner, she'd give me these little mommy things, like ideas, like, Tommy, before you eat dinner, you should always drink a whole glass of water. I never heard of such a thing. Because at my house, I learned some horrific eating habits. Oh, did he? Tommy and his fat sandwiches. I'd take 2 pieces of Wonder Bread and I'd slather it with butter. Then I would take the gristle and the fat from the steak and I'd make a sandwich. But this is where it gets good. I would take the broiling pan, heat up the grease, and then dip the sandwich inside. Oh my God, it's so juicy. I'm now 47 years old on cholesterol medication. Oh, Tommy and his chocolate ice cream. If Tommy was good, I'd get him his own half-gallon of chocolate ice cream. Some mornings, I'd wake him up and he would still be asleep. Half-gallon of chocolate ice cream in one hand and an ice cream scooper in the other. Face full of chocolate. My little chocolate meatball. Tommy. Tom! What's wrong with your wrists? Huh? Why do you always talk like this? Why do your wrists go down when you speak? Can you keep them straight? Hey! Don't walk away from me, I'm talking to you. You know what? You keep prancing around like that, you're gonna get beat the living fuck out of. Dear God, please help my dad. Dear God, why is he so mad? Every Sunday I watch the people walk into your doors. I want more. Do I need a reservation? Or can you send me an invitation? I just live across the street, and meeting you would be neat. Amen. One Sunday morning, I was awakened by my mom's scream. I ran into the bathroom. She was standing in the bathroom doorway and she was staring at my dad. My dad was staring at his head in the mirror. He had taken a razor and he had shaved off his hair, his mustache, his eyelashes, his eyebrows, everything. There was blood and hair all over the floor. Oh, Jesus Christ, Tom! Jesus Christ, what did you do to yourself? You're scaring Tommy and me. And what did you do to your bedroom? I ran to my dad's bedroom and sprawled across all the walls were Bible verses. They were written backwards in a red marker. The devil told him to do it. But just then, from outside his bedroom window, I heard music. Still in my pajamas, I ran and I put my slippers on, and I ran out the house, across the street, right up to the church, right up to the steps, to the big red doors. And when they opened up, there she was.
Good morning. Good gosh, honey. What took you so long to cross the street? We've been waiting for you.
Her name was Erdine Brissinger. She was your classic 1970s Sunday school teacher. She had a three-piece skirt suit, had glasses, and she had hair that reached great heights. I'm sorry about my pajamas.
Oh, honey, the Lord don't care how you dress. My Sunday school class starts in a couple of minutes. You want to come up and see my room?
I followed Erdine into the church and up to her room. Her room, it was so colorful and clean. She even had Bible verses that weren't written backwards. She had children's books. I so badly wanted my parents to read me children's books. She had a dress-up trunk with toys. And then in the corner,
Do you play?
play what?
Oh, piano.
No.
Would you like to try? Come here. Come here. Come over here. You sit by me.
When Erdine played the piano, my whole life made sense.
Now your turn. Listen, watch. Oh! Good job, Mr. Fast Learner. Good gosh.
I stayed for Sunday school, and I loved it. Then after Sunday school, she asked me,
So, honey, do you sing?
once in a while I sing with Kermit the Frog on the Muppet Show.
Well, that's the start.
So I stayed after, and I sang with Erdine for hours. It seemed like a lifetime between Sundays. I didn't miss a Sunday up to that Christmas, because that Christmas was huge for me. Erdine asked me to sing a solo at the Christmas Eve service. My mom came, Jamie and Eric. My dad didn't make it, but I sang. I was nervous, but I did it. Sleep in heavenly peace. Sleep in heavenly peace. And on that last note, I looked out to the congregation and I felt everything was going to be okay. I thought I'd update God. Dear God, thank you for letting me sing. Dear God, it felt so amazing. Can you please help us have a good Christmas day? What do you say? And if you don't mind, could you tell Santa I like a Rubik's Cube, and my dog has fleas game, a Kermit the Frog puppet, and a microphone thing where you sing. And please, 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 whatever you do, I'm begging you, no husky pants. For us more sturdier type boys with a little bit more girth than the rest, Sears Roebuck created husky pants. Yeah. They only came in two kinds. They came in black denim and brown corduroy, and when you walked, it sounded like sandpaper. And your crotch hung down to your knees. It already made a bad situation worse. I begged my mom every Christmas, do not please tell Santa Claus to not get me husky pants. Merry Christmas, Tommy. Merry Christmas, baby. Mom? Tommy? Don't you complain. It's Christmas, and there are starving children in Africa. What did you say, honey? Fuck. Okay, honey.
What can't we?
Oh, Tommy. I know you're not having a good Christmas, honey, but Jesus Christ. Tommy? Honey, Mommy has a surprise for you. Yeah, we're gonna take a little ride in the car. Get your winter coat on and bring those pants with you, honey. Mommy just needs to go get her keys. What? I went to get my coat. It was Christmas morning. What was gonna be open? But she told me to bring my pants. Maybe we were gonna exchange my pants on Christmas morning. I went outside, we went out to her car, and it was snowing. There was like a foot of snow on the ground, and we drove her Ford Escort as fast as we could to Sears. But when we got there, the parking lot was completely packed in by snow. Only one car in the parking lot. We pulled in, we parked, and then this very rotund man got out of his car and came to my passenger side window. Merry Christmas!
Go on, honey. Go with them. Go.
Oh, I couldn't believe it. I followed this man into Sears. I mean, I was gonna have Sears Roebuck to myself. Oh, the exchange, the gift exchange possibilities, I was fantasizing about them. I might even be able to get a new Shazam underoos. I went into the store with this man, and we started walking down the aisle. It was like a Christmas miracle. We're passing the appliances, and now the shoes. We're heading past the youngest section, what's a boy to do? Past the sporting goods, past the jewelry counter. I'm so excited for my Sears and Roebuck shopping encounter. The smell of new fabric in the air. We finally reach our destination. My mom says, honey, we're here. Then in front of me is a boy. A plastic boy wearing a Christmas sweater and a pair of corduroy. See, my mom forgot to mention we were stopping by the husky pant section. Then my mother looked down at me with a very un-Christmassy face.
Honey. Tommy. Come here, baby. Do you see all these little fat little mannequin boys living in the store, honey? Yeah. Well, Santa Claus gave me a receipt.
To return my pants?
No, honey. To return you. You see, all these little fat mannequin boys were once real boys who talked back to their mothers at Christmas.
They're not making this into a Hallmark movie. So my mom knew a manager at Sears, and she called him that morning and asked for this Christmas lesson. When we went home, we heard a noise down the hallway. We ran into the living room, and my father was standing in the living room with the Christmas tree in his hand. And just like that, he took the Christmas tree and whoosh, he threw it right out the glass bay window on the 2nd Avenue and 1st Street. And then, common for mental illness, he was sorry. And he went down to get the tree, brought it back up, redecorated it. Then he duct taped the window with blue tarp. I couldn't see the church that night, but I prayed anyway. It was Christmas morning, and I was still asleep. And then there was a knock at the door. My dad came to answer it. I couldn't make out what he was doing, but he was guiding 2 men into the living room with this really big object. And I couldn't recognize what it was until Mommy, Merry Christmas. Look, it's a piano. It's a real piano. Thank you, Dad. Thank you. I hugged my dad, and he let me. I was working at a school last week, and they were cleaning up, and they got a new piano, so they made me a deal on this one. Merry Christmas. I played that piano every second I could, all through my elementary school years. I played it when I was happy. I played it when I was sad. I played it when I was scared. I played it if I just wanted to use my imagination. By 6th grade, I was in love with music, and I was also obsessed with a TV show, The Carol Burnett Show. I wanted to be Carol Burnett. She was amazing, this triple threat actress, and she had famous actors and actresses that would come on and sing and dance. I wanted to dance, so I begged my mom, please, Mom, could I please take dance class? But my dad said he would never support such a sissy kind of thing. But like all good moms, she talked him into it. I was allowed to take dance class if I tried a sport. I tried baseball. I was horrible. Every time my mom would drive me to a practice, I'd cry. And then I would try to tell her, Mom, you boys make fun of me.
Tommy, honey, you can't quit. It makes your daddy happy. And anyway, sweetie, he's paying for the dance classes. And Tommy, this is what boys do. Here, sweetie, take these with you and share them with the other boys.
What's in it?
Meatballs.
You want to make a friend? You bring meatballs. And she was right. I brought the meatballs. The boys loved them until the one day that I forgot them. Then they came up with a nickname. Hey, meatball boy, where's your meatballs? I could only take the name calling for so long, and I begged my mom, pleaded to please let me quit baseball. She did. Thank God. As for dance class, the dance school, they allowed me to come 3 hours early just to watch the live pianist play. By 7th grade, my mom had a heart attack, which landed her in the hospital. Her illness got worse and worse. She was in and out of the hospital my entire 7th grade year, but by 8th grade she came back. But she spent her time either sleeping or sitting on the couch watching Stephen King movies or smoking her Pall Mall cigarettes. One time my mom even said, Tommy, honey, this damnable heart conditioning is ruining the one thing I love besides you. Smoking. Well, 1986 came around, and pop culture was bursting all over the scene, just like my hormones. I was a 13-year-old boy who wanted to, pay attention to myself. This is also the time that all boys learn about their manhood and who they really are. I knew I was sort of different. I wanted to be like Bo and Luke Duke on the Dukes of Hazzard. I would never fit into a window like that, but I tried. Ford Escort, it did not look the same. This would also be the time when other kids would call me a faggot. That summer, a new neighbor moved in, Vincent Lucella. Vincent was an older kid than me, Italian, really good looking, a boy no one would call a faggot. He could do everything. He could skateboard, he could play football, basketball. He was even good at Pac-Man. But there were two things I was so envious of about Vincent Lucella. Two things I was jealous about. One, Vincent could break dance. I could not. The second thing, Vincent had armpit hair. I wanted armpit hair so badly. Nothing said manhood like a good pit of hair. So one time I asked him, Vincent, how did you grow so much armpit hair? You have to eat a dozen of eggs. So I went home and tried it. I threw up. You have to eat a whole stalk of celery. I tried that, and I shit myself. You have to kiss a girl with your tongue. So, there was this elderly woman across the street. She had a granddaughter. Wasn't that desperate, but her granddaughter was Denise. Denise would come down every summer from Michigan, and I would go over there and play on her porch. And by this time in my life, I thought, wow, Denise is really beautiful. I sort of had a crush on her, so I knew who the lucky lady was going to be at the time. So I went to get her. Hey, Denise, you want to hang out between the houses? Sure, Tommy. Cool beans. Okay, between the houses, this is our code for doing stuff that you didn't want the adults to know. So I met Denise between the houses, and she brought her pet frog, Franklin. Hey, Tommy. Hi, My grandma wants to know, well, she wants me to go visit my aunt for the weekend. Would you mind watching Franklin for me? Sure. Now you have to be really careful because it's really hot out. Before she could finish her caretaking directions, I stuck my tongue so deep in her mouth. Oh, Tommy, what was that? A kiss. Cool beans. So then, I took Franklin the frog, I brought him to my backyard, and on this very hot summer day, I put him on my picnic table. And then I went inside to get ready. And I thought to myself, you know what? Vincent is probably going to not wear a shirt because he has premature muscles and wants to show off. I didn't. But I thought to myself, I can show off my arms a little bit, so I picked a white tank top. Then I had an idea. I went to my family's junk drawer. And I went to town. If you can't grow armpit hair, you can make your own. So then, it smells. And then I went to grab Denise. And I brought her down at the end of the alley where the basketball hoop was on the garage. And she sat there watching me trying to play basketball. This does not look anything like basketball. So it was really hot. It was what we call a scorcher. I just kept sweating and sweating and sweating. Trying to make a basket, Trying to make a basket until Denise looked at me and she said, Tommy, what's wrong with your shirt? What happened to your arms? My pits melted. And then Vincent looked at me. Dude, what happened to your pits? I ran like hell back home. My house was up a really steep hill. Before I began my ascent of humiliation, I was met by Danny Fabioli and his two friends. These would be the boys that would call me a faggot. Hey, faggot! What happened to you? And then he pushed me to the ground. You know the rest of the story, right? I thought to myself, I'm a man. I'm going to get up and fight this boy. So I got up, and just before I thought I was going to hit him, Denise showed up. Tommy, what are you doing? Stand back! This is a man's job. I did not say that. I stood there, ready to punch him, and I thought in my head, what kind of manly icon do I want to be? Do I want to be, John Wayne, like the movies my dad watches? Or how about Mr. Rogers I watch every morning and tells me to be friendly and kind, and then boom! Right in the face. I got hit. Down on the ground. Yeah, thanks, Mr. Rogers. I'm down on the ground, and the next thing I hear is, get the fuck up. Tommy, get the fuck up. Hey! Hey, you little bastards better run. I'm gonna stick this fucking hammer up your ass. My dad brought a hammer. So I went home that night. Denise did go on her trip with her grandmother that weekend. I went out to check on Franklin the frog. He was burnt to a crisp. Yep, at the bottom of the bowl. I killed an animal. And I killed any more chances of tongue kisses from Denise. By my 9th grade year, I was engulfed in everything that had to do with music and theater, at the church, at school. But one night I came home from rehearsal, and my mom was sitting in the kitchen. Oh no, Tommy, don't go away. Go away, honey. I don't want you to see me like this. My dad hit her in the face. I couldn't breathe. I went to the kitchen. What did you do to her? Put the knife down. Your mom asked too many fucking questions. She wanted to go out to bingo or some shit. She's sick. Shit. My mom's been sick for years. Go tell your mommy I'm sorry. Okay? You're not going to use the knife, so put the knife down. Put it down! The next morning, I went into the kitchen. My mom asked me to help her. I thought we were going to make meatballs. She was hovering over the kitchen counter. Mom, what are you doing? I'm crushing up glass, honey. I need to crush this glass into really tiny pieces. Come here, help me, honey. We're gonna put this in his coffee. We have to. I didn't stop her. My father came out for a cup of coffee, and he drank it. Then he came out for another, and then another, and then another. A whole day went by with coffee with cream, sugar, and glass. Later that week, my mom was preparing his dinner. These are my heart pills. This has to do it. I counted 16 of them. We're gonna put them in his mashed potatoes. She did. And he came out to eat the plate of food. And he ate the whole thing. And then he told my mom they were the best mashed potatoes my mom ever made. My mom tried a third time, last time. She put Lysol in his pancake syrup, and he smelled it. Then he took her and the dish and slammed them up against the wall. The only way out for my mom at that time was to have yet another heart attack, which landed her into the hospital where she would be safe. Except she left me home alone with him. I needed a friend. I knew who to go to. Erdine, hi. I just wanted to come by and say hello. I know I haven't been here many Sundays, but I made you these. Oh, Tommy. Oh, my. I love your family's meatballs, baby. What brings you by, honey? Huh? You know, Erdine, in Sunday school, when you talked about God, telling us we have to forgive people, but what if the person you need to forgive has done really bad things? And they keep hurting you over and over, and they keep hurting someone you love. And even if you do forgive them, what if they don't even care? Well, Tommy, honey, come here. You have to ask God for help, honey. No one can forgive anyone alone. And sweetie, everyone cares if they hurt you. Don't listen to them if they tell you otherwise. No one wants to do bad things in this world, Tommy. It's just they're hurting inside. In the same places you and me hurt. It's just sometimes people have so much hurt. It builds up and it grows and it grows and then it just boom.
It explodes all over everyone. Sweetie, you have a choice. You have a choice. When somebody's in front of you, you see them as fully human, as broken as you are, and deserving of dignity. Or you can choose to see them as small and insignificant and not worth your own vulnerability. That's the only way to forgive, Tommy. And good gosh, we're all the same. I took those words of Erdine's and I tried to live by them through high school. During high school, because of my dedication and my passion to the arts, my high school recommended me for the School of the Arts, the Governor's School of the Arts in Pennsylvania. This is where other students around Pennsylvania who were talented and loved music and theater would come. It was a 6-week intensive in the summer, and we would be taught by world-class teachers. I made it in. It was the longest I had ever been away from home. When we got there, before we got there, we were asked to write a monologue about our childhood. And then on the first day, we were supposed to perform it for our acting coach as a way to introduce ourselves. My acting coach was Luann. To say Luann was an intimidating personality is an understatement. I would stand on my tippy toes trying to watch my mom as she made meatballs in a skillet. The crackle of grease and the smell of garlic filled the air. Stop! Earlier, when you said your mom was big, what kind of big? Like a beach ball big or Titanic? I guess Titanic. Mm-hmm. Are you going to do your monologue or am I going to fall asleep? I'm sorry. What about your dad? He's a janitor. Oh. By any chance, did Shakespeare write his character? Because he sounds so interesting. No. What about you? Me? Yeah, you, or you could tell me which Smurf you like the best. I think I'm a pretty happy guy. I make my friends laugh. You could ask them. But for my parents, like you were asking earlier, my parents don't like each other. My dad can be kind of mean because he has this, he was diagnosed with something called schizophrenia. So my mom and I, we don't really know what to expect. So I don't really tell my friends about what happens at my house because it's hard, you know? And I don't really share with anybody. I don't think my dad had enough love. You know? I think that's the thing with my parents. It's like they don't have enough love to be parents. Although I know they love me, sometimes I don't know what to do. And sometimes I can't take it. When you can't take it, what do you do, honey?
Those 6 weeks transformed me. I went home and I knew I had to get away. I had to go to college. But this was also the year of my family's final demise. My father came home one night early from work, and he started to go down to the basement, and he went down there to talk to himself, talk to God in our dirt basement. I quit! Those fuckers can clean their own fucking school. He thinks because he's my boss, he's better than me. Fuck him. I warned him. I told him, stop fucking taking notes about my work! Almost killed him this time. Put his fucking faggot body up against the wall! Fuck him! It's a stupid job anyway. You gonna take her away? You gonna take her away from me, huh? That's okay, I'll get you back. All those motherfuckers that have so much. You can take me, leave them here. Leave them here. Because I know, you know I know. I know more than they'll ever know, I'll tell you that. You know. You fucking fake entity. You fucking fairy tale god. If you were real, I wouldn't be here. My dad, that night, smashed his head in a mirror. And he lost his job. My mom, she had her fourth and most severe heart attack that landed her into ICU. Hey, Mom. Hey, Mom. Hi. I'm glad to see you sitting up. Mom, I was just thinking, I know it's not till next year, and we don't even know what's going on with it yet. But because of everything that's happening, I thought maybe I could just take the first year of college off. Just stay home. No, Tommy! Over my dead body, honey. You're going to school. Grandma can come and help me. You need to go make something of yourself. Or everything I have ever done would be for nothing, baby. You're all I've been put on this earth for, Tommy. Mommy, that's not true. Some people are put here for more than loving another person, baby. That's not me. I went home after that time in the hospital and I felt a fire inside. I felt a focus and an energy like I had never felt before. I filled out applications in every school I could. I played more complex music. I took more voice lessons. I even changed my diet. And I told myself that I would speed walk for 2 hours every day. Speed walking was popular back then. And I did. I sped walk as fast as I could. Then in February, my mom finally came home. On February 14th, on Valentine's Day, I got a letter in the mail. I don't know why I did this next thing. Hey. Hi. I just wanted to tell you, I got into college. I got into Shenandoah Conservatory. I'm going to be studying music theater, of course. I know it's hot down there, but they say they have air conditioning, so. I'm in my last show this weekend at the high school. I'm in My Fair Lady. I'm playing Eliza Doolittle's dad. I sound like a, what do you say there, Governor? I was wondering if you'd like to come, since Mom can't. My dad never came to any show during my middle school or high school years. This would be no different. August 20th, the night before I was to go to Shenandoah to college, I was watching Batman with my friend Brian. Batman starring Michael Keaton. It's a difference. And as we were watching it, a theater manager came down and whispered in my ear that I had a call from the office and that I needed to go home now immediately. We drove home as fast as we could, and when I got in to the kitchen, my mom was there. Tommy, honey, he's in the living room. He's in the living room. I left Brian in the kitchen. I went down the hallway to the living room, and I stood at the living room doorway, and there were my dad's legs on the ground with tall white tube socks with 3 red stripes. Bottles and pills scattered everywhere. I went into the living room, and he was making this deafening, gurgling sound, and his body, it was bloated, twice its normal size. I ran to the kitchen to get the phone. Tommy, don't call. Honey, don't call, baby. Is it done? No, he's still alive. Hello, hi. My dad is on the ground in the living room. I think he tried to kill himself. 121 2nd Avenue and First Street. I don't know, pills, lots of pills? Mom, do you know how long ago? Mom! I don't know how, I just got here myself. No, and he's making this really bad sound. Okay. An ambulance showed up 5 minutes later. And as they were taking my dad out on a stretcher, my mom had a heart attack in the kitchen. And another ambulance came. I drove and followed both ambulances to the hospital. My dad had his stomach pumped and was in a psychiatric unit. I checked on my mom, and she was resting quietly in ICU. I went home, I fell asleep, and I woke up the next morning, and I went to college. I took my bags, my suitcases, and my boxes, and I drove to Virginia. I had to stop at least 3 times to cry. When I got there to school, within my first week, I became class president. And I also got cast in the fall show as an elf. Freshman year casting. I would go home every weekend to check on my mom. By this time, she had gone blind, congestive heart failure set in, and her feet were in need of amputation. It took 2 months for me to gain the courage to go see my dad, but I finally did. He was put into a group facility home with other men up in Pennsylvania. I drove up to this Victorian house, and I was greeted by a nurse. Good morning. and I hope you're welcome to Grizzly Manor. I'm here to see my dad. All right, name please? Thomas Schweitzer Jr. Oh yeah, okay. Follow me. I followed this man down a hallway. It smelled like macaroni and cheese and medicine. I looked into the rooms, and there were other men talking to themselves or staring at the wall. Thomas? Hey, Thomas. Your son's here. My dad. I stood in shock. My dad, who was once a muscular 200 pounds, was barely holding on to 100. His skin was yellow, and he was shaking, and his eyebrows kept going up and down. And all he was wearing was a pair of underwear that had been pissed in. Excuse me, why does my dad look like that? I take it you haven't seen your dad in a while. I do see that he's had an accident, but we're going to take care of that right away. Your dad's doing good. He follows protocol, engages with the other patients. There's only one thing your dad don't do. Your dad don't talk. My dad stood from the chair. Tommy? Hiya, Dad. Well, you made a liar out of me. You must be really happy to see your son. Well, I'm going to go back to the desk and we're going to get him all cleaned up, okay? My dad stood there with a gentle smile. I went home and I called his insurance agency in the hospital. No matter what my life was like, up to that point, my dad did not deserve that humiliation. My mom was in a hospital bed in the living room, and beside her was a hospice nurse. Mommy? Mom, hi. Hi. I wanted to tell you, I just visited Dad, and that place is not good for him. He looked like he lost hundreds of pounds, and he looks really sick. And he was shaking, and the place is... I was thinking, I'd like to just come home for just about 2 weeks. And then my mom, who was blind, opened up her eyes and sat up, and she looked at me and said, "Bring your dad here. Bring your dad home." My aunt went to get my father that night. And as soon as my dad came into the room, he cried so loud that it sounded like a scream. This moment would have been the first time I had ever seen my father cry. But there was something inside of me, an anger. He did not have the fucking right to be that sad. He was the reason that she was lying there. I had to go back to school. I grabbed my bags. And on my way out, my father took his chair and he put it up against my mom's bed. And he held her hand and he looked at me and he said, "I love you." That was the first time I heard that. April 22nd, I was back at Shenandoah, and I was just coming home from a rehearsal when on my dorm room door, there was a note from the school nurse that said, "Call home." Hello? Hi. Hi. Okay. All right. Yeah, I'm okay. How's he doing? Yeah, you can put him on. Put him on. Oh, hey, yeah, hi, I'm here. Hi, Dad. Yeah, I know. Yeah, you're right. You did your best. Yeah, I'm gonna come home tonight. All right. Okay, I'll see you then. Okay. Yeah, okay. I love you too. I took my phone and I smashed it up against the wall. And I tore my dorm room apart. I lost my best friend. And I had this guilt because I felt relief. I sang at my mom's funeral. I couldn't imagine a day without my mom. This would have been the first full song I had ever written. It was my own therapy. Open up your eyes. Spread your arms out wide. And see her. Go on and see her. She's alive. The rest of my sophomore year was a blur. I went home and I went back to school and I tried to do my best to get through. With my dad, I didn't know what to do. I had this anger, this hate that was boiling inside. Who was this sensitive man? I wanted my old dad back so I could hate him. There was something about his vulnerability and his weakness that pissed me off. One night, between my sophomore and junior year that summer, I was home in Altoona. My dad didn't take his medication for weeks. And everything went out of control, including me. The basement. Tommy's dad was very mad and sad at the same time. He screamed at Tommy. Why did she have to die, he asked. Why is she in a coffin? This made no sense to Tommy. He hadn't seen this side of his father for a long time. He was scaring Tommy. Tommy wanted to go out with his friends and he did not feel like dealing with his father's crazy talk. I need to go now, Dad, Tommy said. I'll see you later tonight. Everything will be just fine. Tommy's dad ran up to him and grabbed him by his shirt and pushed him up against the wall. I miss her! I want her back! I'm so fucking sorry for all the shit I did to her and to you. Tommy wished he would have thought of something better to say, but he looked at his dad and said, it's too late. Your mom is in the ground rotting, and there are maggots in her eyes and her flesh is eaten alive, Tommy's dad said. He was shaking. I'm fucking sorry. God should have took me, not her. I'm the one who doesn't belong here. Tommy's dad began to pace back and forth, punching his hand. Dad, please stop. I need to go now. Tommy headed to the door, but Tommy's dad ran in front of it and locked it, blocking Tommy from getting out of the house. Get out of my way, Dad, Tommy asked, trying to keep his cool. It's over! Tommy's dad yelled, and then he ran down the basement steps. Tommy had no choice but to follow him. When he got to the basement, he found his father on his knees holding the axe above his head. What are you doing? Kill me! Dad, get up. Kill me! Dad, this is fucking not happening. Get up! I should have died that night when your father, when your mother, when your mom, when your mommy fed me the pills. What? Tommy wasn't sure he heard his dad correctly. Your mom fed me a pill every 5 minutes and told me if my life would be better, if I'm the one who would be dead. Tommy was confused. She did not feed you those pills, Tommy insisted. Shut the fuck up! It's all over, he shouted. It's all my fault. Kill me.
Kill me! Kill me! Kill me! Tommy's dad sounded like he was chanting, kill me! Holding the axe above his head, Tommy stood above him, kill me! Mom would have never done that. You tried to kill yourself. Now I need to go. If you leave, I'll be dead when you're gone. Take the axe and kill me. I want to be gone from this Christ-forsaken world. Please, please. A sensation took over Tommy that he was unable to recognize. A rage, an energy that felt like an explosion. Tommy's dad would not stop screaming, kill me, kill me, kill me, stop! Tommy begged, and then he lifted the axe above his father's head. And he felt he had no control over his body or mind. Kill me, kill me, he kept hearing his dad. And then he looked down, kill me, at his dad, who was covered in his tears. Tommy thought that maybe his own life was supposed to just be this. But then he heard church bells. Every time you see a person in front of you, you have a choice. You can see that person is fully human, as broken as you are, and deserving of dignity. Or you can see that person is small and insignificant, and not worth your own vulnerability. I didn't talk to my dad for 2 years after that night. We both went off on our own and did our own major therapy. My dad had a good team in Pennsylvania who got his medication correct. They even found him 2 part-time jobs. He was a janitor at a church and our local theater. I went home and did my own work. Sophomore year, junior year went by and nothing. I graduated college. And I went right away and I started to work at a small private school in Virginia. I loved it. Teaching children, directing children. It was the easiest, most fulfilling thing I had ever done. But I was a teacher, so I needed to make money. So I had some side jobs, which brings me to Vivian. Vivian was this character I created back in college. It was a woman character that I used to play in variety shows. She was based on a very specific acting coach I had earlier in my life. One day I was doing a variety show and a friend's family came up to me and said, "Hey, how would you like to make $300? I said, "Sure." They hired me as Vivian to come crash their daughter's wedding. It was the easiest money I ever made. Put on a little hat and a little dress. It's amazing what you can do. So, now years later, hadn't talked to my dad for years. One of my friends up in Altoona was getting married, a very close friend of mine, and he asked me how would I like to sing at his wedding and then play Vivian at his reception. He was nice enough to invite my dad. I would walk around the reception. I would have never chosen this first, but I would walk around the reception like this.
Oh my God, did you see her dress? Oh, she was beautiful. Oh, what a spread. Did you see the buffet? Oh, sticky chicken fingers, love them.
It was a really hot day on this wedding, so I went over to the keg to get Vivian a beer. And as I was pumping the keg, a very familiar voice came behind me. I could help you with that. I turned around, and there was his newly subdued self, just grinning at me, having no idea he was talking to his son.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, thank you.
And then I watched my father get me a beer. I watched him pump.
Oh yeah, thank you so much. Could you fill that up the whole way to the top? Yeah.
Then, as awkwardness would have it, there was an empty bench. I'm sorry if I keep staring at you. You just look so much like my wife. She died a few years back.
Oh my God. So sorry. What was her name?
Kathy, what's your name?
Vivian.
You Italian?
Yeah. I like spaghetti.
So did Kathy. I couldn't do it.
Oh, excuse me. I'm so sorry. I need to go.
Oh, wait. Sorry, I didn't mean to freak you out or anything. I'm sorry, you look so much like her.
Well, then, she must have been beautiful.
She was. Then I thought, what the hell?
So. Do you have any children?
Yeah, one. He's around here somewhere. He's Tommy. He's the guy who sang at the wedding. Yeah.
Oh, him. Oh, my. He's so handsome. Those dimples.
Yeah, he's good. He's very good. Don't know where the hell it came from.
Why do you say that?
He's like his mom. Both of them. They're nice people, you know? Really nice. He does acting and singing shit, stuff like that. With kids. I wish I was more like him.
You must be very proud.
More than I can say. I'm sorry to say that is exactly how it happened. I didn't have facial hair back then. Ever since that moment, in that moment, the next day I decided I was going to call my dad every single day of his life. I couldn't imagine being so sad. So I called him every day, even if it was just for a minute, just to say hello. I wanted to integrate him back into my life somehow. So I invited him down to Virginia for Christmas. By this time I was volunteering, doing music for nursing homes and other places. So on this night, I told my dad that we were going to go to a nursing home. And I was going to do carols. And there was an 98-year-old woman there that night. And on that night, she was going to turn 99. And the one thing she wanted for her birthday and for Christmas was to meet Santa Claus. I told my dad I didn't have a Santa Claus. He looked at me and said, "I'll do it." I took him to the costume room, got him a Santa Claus outfit, head to toe. And as we drove to the nursing home, he sang, "I'm dreaming of a white Christmas." We walked into the nursing home, and there they were. My father went in, and then he let out a "Ho." Ho. Ho! He was the worst Santa Claus. But they loved him. We stayed there all night. That one Christmas Eve made up for every other Christmas Eve I had ever lived. A few months later, I was having a voice lesson. Can't say this in many theaters. I was having a voice lesson here in this room. And I was teaching a young man who was 14 years old. And he came in with a poem and a guitar. His father had taken his life a year before. And he wanted to turn this poem into a song, so he asked me to help him. He wanted the poem to sound like a prayer. Dear God, please tell my dad, dear God, that every day is sad without him. I want him to fall from a star and tell me everything's alright. Fall from a star and tuck me in every night. I know how far away the stars are, but I swear when I stare at them, I see my dad. That voice lesson went from 30 minutes to 3 hours. But when I saw this kid's face, I knew that I shifted the sadness of the world a tiny bit. And I knew I had to do something else. I went back to school immediately and went to become a music therapist. I had no idea that music therapy was so scientific, so clinical, that it was steeped in healing for humankind. It was hard to go back at 35 years old, but I did it. And 4 years later, I graduated. And on that day, I decided with my best friend, Kim Tapper, that we were going to open up a place that everybody would be listened to, heard, they would have a voice, and they would be loved. So we opened up a place to be. I wanted my dad down there to see the opening of the center. So I drove up to Pennsylvania to get him. And when he walked into the freshly, newly painted building, he looked at me and said, "Where's your vacuum?" He cleaned the center from top to bottom. And when my dad was done, he sat down on a chair and he said, "Here you go." We opened on September 19th, 2010.
we were going to have a party that night. We had about 200 people, mostly families with kids with disabilities. Sometime in the middle of the party, my father gave me a gift. With my favorite kind of wrapping paper, Snoopy Christmas. Although it was September. But it was so busy and chaotic that night. I just said thanks to my dad, and I put it in my desk drawer to open later. Then, October 19th, 1 month to the day. By this time, I had been calling my dad every day for the 5 years. On this morning, I called him, and he didn't answer. My father died that day of a heart attack in his house in Altoona. It wasn't until that moment that I remembered the gift. When I opened it, I couldn't believe somebody with a second grade education could write something so beautiful. Now I come to see a place to be where my son will teach his therapy to the kids which teach him to, and that's the way it should be in this place called A Place to Be. And my spirit will always be here, this place, called A Place to Be. A few months later, I found out where Erdine Grissinger was. She was in her mid-90s, and she was put in a nursing home in Pennsylvania near her family. When I got there, the nurses, they told me that I should not expect her to respond, that she might not remember me. I didn't care. Hey, Erdine. Hi, Erdine. Hi. Hi. My name is Tommy Schweitzer. I used to go to 2nd Avenue United Methodist Church a long time ago. You taught me how to play the piano, and you taught me how to sing. Oh, I brought you these meatballs. I know you still like them, so here you go. I wanted to just come and thank you. Thank you for showing me music, because now I'm a music therapist. I know you probably don't know what that is, but it's we use evidence-based research and clinical, basically, I just do what you did for me. I see they've got a piano. Would you like me to play? Would you like me to play the piano? Oh, yeah. Okay. I know, something you like. And slowly, with her walker, Erdine made her way to the piano.
by me.